I feel like I'm making decisions all day long, and I know I don't always make the best decisions. These days, there are a lot of really important decisions to make about masks, social distancing, vaccines, and more. That got me thinking about all the complicated factors that play a role in how we make decisions. In particular, I want to talk about the optimism bias. Optimism bias is a cognitive bias that causes someone to believe that they are less likely to experience a negative event than is actually realistic and more likely to experience positive events. For example, we tend to underestimate our risk of getting cancer, getting divorced, or being in a car accident. And we often overestimate our future successes on the job market, how gifted and talented our children will be, and how long we will live. The optimism bias can lead to poor decision making because we're not worried enough about the risks we're taking. So, if it leads to bad decisions, why do our brains have the optimism bias in the first place? It's there to help us learn. And so that we keep going even when things are challenging. Success only comes after a lot of failure. Think about how many times babies make mistakes as they babble and try to form words. And the average baby learning to walk will fall dozens of times per hour. The human brain keeps us pursuing goals against all odds. And to do that, it selectively codes for best case scenarios. Think about how many times your cat comes running when you open a can in the kitchen. Most of the time, it's something like beans that the cat doesn't want, or you don't let the cat eat whatever you have. But that one time a year ago that you dropped a bit of tuna will give her hope for years. That's the optimism bias. So, how is the optimism bias influencing our daily decisions during COVID-19? This bias is likely one of the reasons that people underestimate their personal risk of infection and fail to practice social distancing measures and good mask wearing protocols, especially around people we care about. The optimism bias can lead us to unintentionally take bigger risks than we realize. Further, as vaccines begin to roll out and we're making decisions about getting them, some people may delay getting a vaccine and even miss out on opportunities because they underestimate their own risk or the impact that their own vaccination will have on their family and community. So, how do we overcome the optimism bias to make even better decisions? In stress research, it's been found that when we are slightly stressed out, we actually become better at learning from unexpectedly bad outcomes. So, what that means is that a little bit of stress is good. This might be the time to listen to your anxious friend or your anxious inner voice to protect you from the optimism bias. The best way to combat the optimism bias is to balance your hope for the best with planning for the worst.